Everybody, Barry here from Bicton Travel. It's a Tuesday afternoon. It's 3 o'clock, which means it's, of course, armchair presentation time. And we've got the lovely Jo Alice from the APT group, or the ATG group, which includes the beautiful brands of APT, Travelmarvel, Travel Glo, Britannica, and probably a few more that I can't think of right now. But Jo's going to spend the next 30 minutes or so reminding you of some of the great opportunities there are to travel around Australia and possibly New Zealand. With the news that there may be a date on the horizon that we can go east, which is very, very exciting. So, Jo, over to you, and I'll come back towards the end of the presentation.
Thanks so much, Barry, and thank you so much to Barry and Bicton Travel for inviting us along. They're amazing partners of ours, and we're big fans of the podcast. As far as the APT Travel Group, domestic touring has always been our heartland, so we're really excited in a way to focus on that. We began touring in 1927 and just doing Australia, so we've been working hard during lockdown to make sure that we have a lot of different products to offer our clients, depending on what you're looking to do, but a little bit closer to home. So we've actually got a lot of fantastic products in the East Kimberley in particular. We've also got another couple. Tasmania has always been popular for West Australians, and also New Zealand. So maybe it'll be next year, perhaps early next year, fingers crossed, when we can actually open those borders up. But obviously Western Australian travel is being very, very popular. So happy to showcase our three brands that we have there, which is APT, Travelmarvel and Travel Glo, which has only come out a couple of years ago, and really give you an idea of what's the most popular of our offerings with these fantastic brands. No matter what you choose, and I know that everyone at Bicton Travel has really said, look, our clients are really concerned, obviously, about flexibility and ensuring that you've got that, I guess, confidence to travel. So as far as the APT group, no matter which brand you choose to travel with, obviously we have all the accreditations. You've also got something brand new we brought in as well. So, for example, if you're looking at doing the Kimberley, you know, June, July, August next year, and you're not totally sure, but it's getting booked out because we're about 75% sold out for the Kimberley, which is great numbers for next year. We've only got 25% availability, which will go pretty quickly. So if you want to commit to something, but you're looking at next year, you can actually take the flexible booking cover, costs absolutely nothing, and it means that 65 days before departure, you can choose, I'm actually not comfortable to do it, I'd rather delay to 2022 instead, or I'd rather go to another destination maybe later on. So it gives you that flexibility, costs you nothing, and it just gives you that confidence, I'm going to say, to travel. I want to start off with really our main brand, which is APT. And when traveling with APT, our clients will say, look, I just want to have all the bells and whistles. I want to have the most incredible experience I can imagine. I've seen it, it's on my bucket list, and I want to do it absolutely well. And I want to have everything I want included, as far as maybe horizontal waterfalls. I want to have helicopter rides. I want to have that that cocktail as I'm cruising along, you know, the beautiful Kimberley coast. With APT, that's all included, so you don't put your hand in your pocket for anything. So it is a great way to go. This year, we were hoping to obviously tour through the East Kimberley, but obviously COVID had other plans for us. So what we've been doing is keeping busy and renovating our beautiful lodges. We have 3 lodges in the East Kimberley, and one of those is Bell Lodge, and it's absolutely spectacular. And we've actually just refurbished it. So this would be perhaps you, maybe next year or 2022, cruising along the fantastic, going across the Pentecost River there with the Coburn Ranges in the background, custom built Mercedes-Benz vehicles as well, really super comfortable, and your driver guide at the front to make sure you absolutely see the best of this amazing destination. We do have, as far as East Kimberley, we have all of the icons covered with this tour, and it really starts off in Broome, beginning and ending. And of course, most of our clients like to stay at the Coral Beach Club and extend on there as well. There's nothing like a sunset and maybe a cocktail as you watch the camels walk past. Continue on from Broome to Derby, and then we head off to Winjana Gorge, Tunnel Creek, and of course you'll have all the history of Jandamara through that region. Continue on to Fitzroy's Crossing and Geeky Gorge, and then through that cattle area, amazing stock areas through there from Halls Creek up to the Bungles. And every time you see that black dot with a number in it, it just means how many nights stay that you would actually have. So beautiful 2-night stay in the Bungles, Kununurra, also Mitchell Falls and Bell Gorge as well. But as you can see, as you head up towards Kununurra, of course, we're going to take you that fantastic sunset cruise on Lake Argyle, 1,000,000 acres of wilderness in El Cuestro, and then of course Home Valley Station, fantastic Indigenous run cattle station. We head up that Columbaroo Road, and it is some really good full driving, so it's a bit of adventure, and those vehicles handle it so well. And then 2-night stays at Mitchell Falls. That red circle actually means a helicopter flight that we include over the Mitchell Falls, and then continue back to the Gibb River Road and to Bell Gorge, to Derby, and back to Broome. But this gives you a little bit of a snippet of our beautiful wilderness lodges. It is very much glamping when you get there. So you might be at Bell Gorge, Mitchell Falls, obviously in the Bungles as well, but super comfortable, usually about 20 tents, and they're all facing away from each other, heaps of space between you, but it's so lovely to get on these Kimberley adventures, to have hardly any phone reception, to actually switch off, to reconnect with other people. It is an absolute blessing. To be honest, they don't have a lot of satellite towers. The vehicles do have satellite phones, so if you need to get in touch with anybody, then obviously that is there for safety reasons. But of course, in some of the lodges, you can have connectivity, but how wonderful it is to actually get away, reconnect with your fellow travellers, and that gives you an idea also of our ensuite. They spent a few $1 million just on the Bell Gorge, and making sure it's super comfortable. Back to that tent as well, to give you an understanding of how we run them as well, is during the day when you're out touring, we'll charge up all of the batteries in our generators. So what it means is basically during the evening when you come back, the batteries are charged up. We turn off those noisy generators so you have absolute peace and quiet. A lot of bird life, of course, but it's just pristine wilderness to enjoy when you're actually at our lodges. And of course, after you sit around the campfire, you can actually return back to those that area. It's only probably 15 metres away, and you can sit in these fantastic main areas, which is where you have breakfast and dinner as well. Often you'll sit there with maybe with the Matzo's ginger beer, a Margaret River white wine, something very quintessentially West Australian, and enjoy. We also do a 3-course dinner. So barramundi is very popular, roast meals of course, but for the entree, we often do a roaming entree. So you end up basically sitting in these comfortable couches, having that entree to start, and then actually going to the tables for the main meal and also for dessert. So lots of choice. We have an actual refrigeration full drive circling through our 3 lodges to make sure we actually give you the freshest food possible throughout. And if you want to buy a few more drinks, then please do. You can see on the right there, you've actually got that licensed bar area as well. So you've got everything to choose from. As far as the attractions, there is so much to see, and I've just pulled out a couple, but I mean, the Geeky Gorge is fabulous. We actually do a Indigenous cruise on the Geeky Gorge to hear about their stories and their beliefs, and also you can see the bleaching on the gorge there, as well as far as when the mighty Fitzroy River gets into full flood. It's one of the largest rivers in the world, and you can actually see where the water rises to in that region as well. Cathedral Gorge, which is one of the most beautiful cathedrals in the world. It has the most incredible feeling, very spiritual, incredible acoustics as well. Any musician that walks in there claps and says the reverberation is just absolutely incredible, but a beautiful place to visit. We certainly do that on all of the tours. And then anyone who loves bird life, this is fantastic. You actually see so much as you're cruising along. We have a bit of a damper lunch as well, but it's just absolutely have a lot of space on your memory card because the photographs you can take on this is just amazing. I popped this slide in as well because a lot of our passengers will want to know, as far as activity level, how strenuous it is as well as far as the walks. And I think the main thing to keep in mind is the fact that it is hot and humid generally throughout the year, and especially it is a pleasure going there June, July, August to escape the Australian winter and go up to the tropics and really enjoy that beautiful region. But I think some of the beauty of the Kimberley is the fact that it isn't commercialised. So you're definitely going to have a lot of these sort of regions to walk through, a lot of uneven ground as well. So you've certainly got to have a good degree of fitness just to get the very best out of that experience. And with APT, as well, as I mentioned, we'll include all the signature experiences. So all of the must-sees, all of the highlights, things that you'll think about maybe in 5 years' time down the track, and think of when you're actually in this amazing part of the country and cruising over the Mitchell Falls in a helicopter and getting some great photographs. As you can see, no doors on that helicopter, so some really great photos. If you're not good with height, certainly sit in the middle with that one. We do have some shorter tours also available for 17 days if you want to also continue on to Darwin, if you choose, rather than continuing back to Broome. And we've actually got a new tour we had to release this year because we had such incredible interest in the 15-day Kimberley Complete. We've actually brought this one out, so it really just avoids the bitumen, and so it goes Broome to Kununurra or the reverse. So other things you can certainly look at, and we have shorter tours as well, 9 days, also down to 5 days. So if you're interested in anything a little bit shorter, please contact Victon and they'll be able to send you a virtual copy of our brochure. The other way, if you're not going to do it by land, then by sea is an incredible way to experience the Kimberley coastline. We were lucky enough to take a group, would have been the end of last year, and one of the things that all the clients actually mentioned to me was they couldn't believe they did this 10-day experience and didn't see one other ship in that 10 days. They said, what an absolute pristine wilderness we're lucky enough to have in our own backyard. So they thought it was tremendous. This is our ships, beautiful size, 110 passengers maximum, with 10 expedition guides, 75 crew members, everything included with your drinks, your food, your touring, and all the Zodiac excursions as well. And also Wi-Fi. Some areas of Wi-Fi may not be fantastic, I will warn you now. So you probably don't want to have, I guess, a working office from the ship as far as in the Kimberley region, but most people have come here for holiday, and you will get intermittent Wi-Fi for sure. This will give you a bit of a taste, I guess, of what you'd experience on tour. Quite amazing. I think everyone that does small ship cruising always comes back and say Kimberley is one of their top 3 experiences in travel ever. So it's very much on the bucket list for me, that's for sure. As far as the suites as well, I wanted to mention that these are the lead-in suites, so fantastic size. And I find for clients that maybe someone wants to go to bed early, but someone else wants to start a little bit later, you've actually got a block-out curtain where that archway is. So it's just a fantastic size. And of course, with around 110 guests on maximum, you get such fantastic individual attention as well, and preemptive service, which really is really wonderful. 10-day, and as you can see, you see all of the highlights of the Kimberley, from horizontal waterfalls, which you've seen so many times, I'm sure, on documentaries, the Buccaneer Archipelago as well, Montgomery Reef. People come back and often say, I haven't heard a lot about Montgomery Reef, but wow, that was just absolutely mind-blowing to actually be on that and actually have on the Zodiacs when that current just pushes you through. So wonderful to do. That gives you an idea, and it's actually Montgomery Reef when it goes into low tide, and it's like the reef rises up sort of from Atlantis from below, and you have all of this marine life just teeming through that region. Absolutely incredible to experience that. We do have one other cruise that we actually just had to put on as well, and this one is featuring Luke Nguyen. So any foodies would maybe like to have a look at this one, and very, very popular. Luke is a fantastic brand ambassador for us, and he's one of the nicest guys you'll meet. So if you want to meet one of the brand ambassadors and have an interest in cooking, he will really spoil you on board and bring out some fantastic cuisine, as well as seeing a fantastic part of our state. I wanted to bring some breaking news for Victon as well. We're about to launch next week our private air tours, and that'll be out mid next week, but I wanted to give you a bit of a snapshot. So exclusive to Victon Travel, and this will be seeing mainly Western Australia by a private aircraft, usually holding around 80 people, but we'll only sell up to about 60 clients. So really seeing a huge state, and also adding on Darwin as well, so you can extend on and do some fantastic touring through Darwin, Billow Waters, Kakadu. There's so much to see there. You can certainly book that, extend on to Darwin, then fly back to Perth, or whichever port that you choose to. But really, when you look at the distances you're covering, the clients that have returned from these have actually said, we tried one this year in Queensland just for Queensland guests, and they all said it was fantastic. The only way to travel, no wasting time getting there, just straight into the attractions, and actually approaching it with your own plane as well, from the left and also from the right, so everyone gets a fantastic view and seeing some amazing sights. But we're also going to make sure when you get onto the land in Exmouth, you're going to have the chance to swim with whale sharks, and Broome, of course, the horizontal waterfall. So all of these things that people have wanted to do for many years, and maybe looking into your own backyard for the next couple of years, touring could be the perfect chance to do that. We will have air tours also in Queensland. We're also going to have another tour from Melbourne to Adelaide and all the way up to Darwin as well. And we're talking about a New Zealand air tour as well. So that's exciting for us. Moving on away from APT, Travelmarvel has been incredibly popular. It is our premium brand. It sits at a more 4-star level, but it gives everyone more freedom and flexibility to have a little bit more free time, maybe shop more, eat more, those sort of things, maybe sit in a pub and just watch, do a bit of people watching, that sort of thing, rather than having excursions included for you, but very much at the 4-star range. And the most important thing I think out of this slide is very much more value. It's probably around the 20-25% price point less than an APT tour, but of course it includes less as well. So it's a really good option to look at. We do have clients going from APT to Travelmarvel quite often, depending on the destination that you're actually choosing from. Closer to home with Travelmarvel, we have Australia, New Zealand, and I really wanted to highlight the Tasmanian tours because they have been so popular. It's a beautiful place to visit, and it's always been sort of on the bucket list of a lot of West Australians as well, with that fantastic food and the history that they offer there as well. So this gives you our most popular tour, the Grand Tasman, just a 10-day, but of course you can extend on either end as well and make it maybe a 2-week journey. But it gives you, as you can see, 3 nights in Hobart, a couple in Launceston, and really visiting all the attractions. Smithton, Cradle Mountain, you've got to visit. Strawn on the west coast is beautiful, and Bicheno, of course, with Frasernaye National Park as well. But one thing Travelmarvel does offer that a lot of our competitors don't are things like insider experiences, we call them. So even though it sits at the 4-star level, it really does include a lot of the touring and the unique experiences to bring these places to life. The accommodation, our clients come back from Travelmarvel and often say it's way better than I ever expected. They thought probably 3-star. They've come back with 4-star accommodation, such as a Cradle Mountain Lodge on the far right, which is where everyone wants to stay when you go to Cradle Mountain. And a lot of these places tend to be less corporate as well, quite often owner occupied. So it becomes a very, very warm and inviting destination for the evening. But beautiful spot there, Cradle Mountain Lodge, really fits in with that eco-tourism sort of feeling. A lot of open fires, very, very casual, and beautiful lodge to experience that region. Food is a massive part of our touring and cruising for sure, and it's just such a highlight. So you've definitely got to visit the brewery. Bogues in the north, but of course when you go to the south you've got to drink Cascade, because it is very much a divided state as far as in the north and the south, probably like Western Australia, maybe with football teams as well. So you've certainly got to make sure which area you're in to make sure you order the right beer. We've also got some fantastic seafood. They have incredible seafood in Tasmania, so we do some beautiful buffets there as well, and some fantastic platters of fresh Tasmanian seafood. Some of the best I've ever had, that's for sure, especially out of Hobart. So a lot of different experiences there. And of course, a luncheon cruise on the Gordon River, and that's just a real highlight. Another portion that has had fantastic feedback is actually the tour that we do of Beaconsfield Mine, and I'm quite amazed as far as how long ago it actually was as well. It was early in 2000 actually that actually happened there with those two miners. It was 2006, I believe. 17 miners were trapped there, and they actually had this sensory sort of experience where you go in and experience what those two last miners experienced for 2 weeks, being trapped a kilometre underground. And obviously there were 17 miners at the beginning. One sadly passed away in the collapse, but two, of course, Todd and Brant, made it through, and that was just an incredible victory, I think, and wonderful for the whole country to see that story play out. We also visit the Lavender Farm, absolutely stunning. If you're a photographer, you'll love this place. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a great gift shop as well for anyone that wants to bring back any lavender products to friends back in Perth, perhaps. But it is very, very popular there. Great to visit. And it actually began when God, goodness me, 1921 it was, when C.K. Denny came back from London and brought with him a packet of lavender from the French Alps. And he said, this is very similar climate to the French Alps, and I want to produce this fantastic lavender. So that would be wonderful to experience. Richmond has some of the best seafood pies. You've got to try the scallop pie, very, very popular there. The tour directors know where the best food is, and as far as Richmond, they say this is the bakery to visit, so they'll certainly be giving you tips on tour of where to eat and where's the best value as well. And Hobart, absolutely stunning, beautiful to experience. It's such a pristine area, very, very pretty to walk around. Quite often you'll get to the harbour and you'll see things like maybe the Sea Shepherd there at port, about to go off back to the Antarctic to try to reduce that the whale hunting as well. So just a beautiful place, and of course the end of the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. So some wonderful things. They have a fantastic market there called the Salamanca Market, and there's over 300 stalls. So a huge amount to choose from: fresh produce, homemade goods, a lot of gifts, those sort of things. But you can spend half a day there quite easily, and some great restaurants around it as well. And of course Port Arthur, you've got to visit this, such an integral part of Australian history, with all of the penal history and of course the recent history as well with Port Arthur. So absolutely fascinating. They've done an incredible job with it, and so much to experience there. Then we continue on to the Gordon River cruise, which is just beautiful wilderness again, and really interesting to visit Sarah Island, where you really see a lot of the convict history and actually get an understanding of how cold, and also I guess the stories of these convicts and what they went through, and you actually see what basic clothes they had to wear to guard against the cold of some of those regions, and just amazing stories. The guys do an excellent job of bringing those characters to life. Our last product is Travel Glo. We've only just released this a couple of years ago, and it used to be Worldwide Rail. And now we've actually, obviously with the conditions as they are at the moment, said let's create some domestic touring and also New Zealand touring for Travel Glo, for clients that want to maybe add on some touring. It is escorted, but it tends to be very, very good value. Around the $200 per person per day, and so great touring. It is escorted. It's got all the must-sees, but none of the frills. So if that's the sort of touring that you're looking for, and also having a lot more flexibility, you often have a full day and to do your own thing in that day. And we've also included hot tips to make sure you get the best fit, because often you get to a town and may not know the best things to see. So we'll actually have the hot tips included. So as far as if you want to see perhaps, you know, obviously maybe the museum in Albany, as far as what to see, when to get there, ticket information, those sort of things. But we certainly include this. The WA tours, I thought I'd include these in case you have relatives coming over from interstate, maybe next year when they can actually travel to Western Australia, then these are some great options. And also Lake Ballard, which has actually been in a little bit of the press lately. It's where J. Edgar Hoover actually lived. His father sent him to Western Australia to go west and to make his fortune, and he ended up actually in Lake Ballard. So an interesting place, and those beautiful statues there as well. So a lot included, as you can see, all the must-see things. The single supplement is not too much as well, so it's pretty reasonable. But I think for West Australian guests, I think New Zealand could be a big seller. So this is a great one. This is North Island. You've got all of the highlights as far as the tall ship cruise, which would be such a highlight, the Bay of Isles, beautiful beaches, usually fantastic weather as well. And of course, the centre of culture as well, Rotorua in New Zealand. So you have the Maori Hangi there as well. One of our hot tips when you get to Rotorua is the fact that only an hour out is actually Middle Earth. So if you want to do a tour and go to see where Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movie were created, then that could be a great option for you as well. Yeah. And then, of course, the South Island, absolutely spectacular, so different than Australia as far as the attractions, the beautiful mountain ranges, as you can see there on the top on right with Queenstown. But all of the highlights are there, starting in Christchurch, heading down to Lake Tekapo, absolutely beautiful photography there as well, Twizel, Queenstown, through to the west coast. And then you actually have the option to do the Transalpine train. So if you are a train buff, that would be definitely something that you want to add in. But from $224 a day, with all the attractions in there, it is very good value for money. One of the hot tips I know for when you get to Queenstown is the fact that Fur Burger is very popular. Everyone has to have this fantastic hamburger when they get to Queenstown, but no matter if you get there at 8 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night, there's usually a queue. So next door to that is actually the Fur Baker. And so we can actually grab some fantastic baked goods or some fantastic rolls as well, take those and wander down to the beautiful lake, as you can see there, and just have a picnic there and enjoy. We do have a full free day, so for adrenaline junkies, you can set the jet boats, there is bungee jumping if you're keen, there's all of that. And for more gentle pace, we've got a beautiful cruise on the historic Earnslaw across to a beautiful farm there, which is really interesting, to a farm tour, and also a lot of other attractions as well. I did want to mention for the evening, for the dinner, we actually go up on that Skyline gondola and have this beautiful dinner there. So you can go up early and have that fantastic view of the beautiful Queenstown below, and then enjoy a lovely meal as well. A lot to see there. We certainly have a lot of products. There is a lot to choose from, but we do have all our brochures virtually as well. And Victon Travel has got all the links for the virtual brochures, for all of the pricing, for absolutely everything that you need to know. And they are experts within our product range as well. So first I want to say thank you so much for inviting me along. Hopefully it's given you maybe some food for thought, maybe for 2021, maybe 2022. There's a lot of things to see close to home and in our own beautiful state as well. But thank you so much.
No, thank you, Joe. That was brilliant. Some incredible pricing there on those Travel Glo itineraries, particularly around New Zealand and even Tassie with Travelmarvel. A few more things added to my bucket list, yes, again. If anybody, as you said, we have got the e-brochures that we can send out. Rather than sending everything to everybody, if there's anything particular that you would like to receive from us, you know where we are. The best email address is info@victontravel.com.au. The best phone number 93390277. And of course, you can make an appointment to come and see us in store, or if you would rather, we can still do the virtual appointments over something like Zoom we're using right now. But yeah, thanks for the inspiration, Joe. Really, really appreciate it, and can't wait to go and see some of these beautiful places.
I'm with you there, Barry.
Thanks, Grace. Have a great afternoon. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.